Hey guys, for the extra Sunday content, as well as bonus weekly content on top of that, go to our Patreon link in the description and find the Black Kluge tier or higher and subscribe.
Did it surprise you Allison got remarried as quickly as she did?
Yes, I did.
Did that bother you?
No. I was happy for her. But I was a little surprised.
He was saying goodbye to me, and he leaned in for a kiss, and I smiled so big that he literally kissed my teeth.
So I have admitted that I almost had a homosexual experience when I was young.
Yes.
Some guy came on to me. It was really wonderful, actually, but my mother would never tolerate me being gay. You know what I mean?
I got a guy now who's finding out the real names of the occupations of what the people do who bully me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm kind of a fighter, so... it's just interesting when people have their kids on the air.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, if a kid was a fuck-up, you just keep them quiet.
I put my kids on the air more, but they want no part of it.
We do another contract here. Well, let's do a 3-hour show. We should be done right now.
Well, you're having this negotiation with me. That's the only problem.
Well, who am I supposed to negotiate with? Fred?
Tell that fat fucking cunt Robin to shut the fuck up. She can't stop mentioning that other fat cunt Butler. They're both fat cunts. They need to die on fire.
I once saw my mother come out of the shower. It traumatized me.
Yeah, I can imagine. She looks like you.
She had some...
Sorry. That just slipped out.
Was you getting into music and guitar and all that stuff? Was that some kind of therapy because you didn't have your father? Listen, there are people who are at a job too long. They're not into it. They can't admit it to themselves.
A picture of you and her looks like a kidnapping. It's ridiculous.
Oh, you see, this is ridiculous.
I was going to look for a Nikki Hilton. But you see, those good-looking rich girls, they don't go for a guy like me because they don't need my money.
Recipe for a perfect date night? Home, dinner, glass of wine, and to bed. Right? What'd you say?
Definitely a bottle of wine.
I said earlier I thought it was kind of weird that Jerry still dyes his hair. Like, when your head becomes that big and, whatever.
You've got a little tough to hair.
You think the vanity would go out the window, but no.
I do have issues about people leaving. I want to control everyone in my atmosphere. I am a puppet master, and I want everyone to be a puppet.
But then we had our sex. We went right into this, like even better.
Now, was it different?
It was great because when he was on top of me, I had my hands sticking up and I was really nervous.
Oh my God. And she had a very hard orgasm from that.
Because I drive into Manhattan every day and I listen to it, okay? And if you cut out the bitching, it probably would be about an hour broadcast.
You're right. Do you want to know something? Okay.
Welcome back to QF, everybody, a podcast about Howard Stern. I'm Phil Moore, your host, a.k.a. Jim Fix, with me once again for this, the tail end of this particular saga, the Beth FHM, They Shoot Horses, Don't They, part finale, actually. Sam and Bob, welcome back, guys. How are you doing?
Doing good.
I'm excited.
Okay. As you guys know, this is the tail end, and Bob Bruce specifically wanted to be in on this, and I'm the one who elongated it, made it a bigger thing. So I'll apologize if it's too long. But here we finally get to Quivers reading Beth's FHM article on the air and goofing on it, of course.
How dare you say this is too long? It's never long enough for me when it comes to this topic.
Yeah, we couldn't fathom for the life of us why she was so
Why are you almost 30 and just getting on a cover of a magazine if you're a model your whole life?
Yet you claim since you're 9 you're a model. Yeah, it makes total sense.
Well, she was on the cover of Snuffed. Remember? Snuff magazine.
Kate Moss? Yeah, I'm sure. It's just so crazy.
Yeah, so here we go with the ugliness.
Well, it's time to find out. We've seen the pictures. What does Beth have to say?
Kind of late in the show for that, isn't it?
The lead story. I told you it'd be the news. You decide when that goes on.
Go ahead.
Okay, so this is another reason why the news is gone, I feel like, because Robin would occasionally shoehorn in stories that would make Wig uncomfortable, whether it be celebrity related, politically related, or personally related. Mm-hmm. And I think because he never knew exactly what she was going to say or how it was going to be approached. Like, she could even say she was doing a story, but then she took it in an angle that was like kind of jarring for him. So it made it entertaining for us. But I think overall, because he wants more control over the show, he doesn't want these possible hiccups. And when you hear her say like, ha ha ha, right after, she's just gearing up. I mean, that's
well, she's definitely got something on her mind. Like she definitely wants to crowbar this in. There's no question. My question, I guess, is going to be: does she think it's legit funny, or is she really trying to get back at Howard for something? Bob?
Well, I actually kind of think Howard wanted her to read this because I think he thought people were going to be like, wow, man, you have this great... He has no self-awareness that he was like, thought she was going to read it and people were going to be like, wow, man, you have this great Disney fairy tale thing going on. I really think... Because you can hear him. He's like confused why people are fucking laughing at him. You'll hear it in the clip.
He said, but he just said, he goes... it's almost the end of the show or something like that. You know, he doesn't want this. I think it's almost the same as the Layla Arcieri thing that you guys did. It's similar in the sense that I want it to be known that I'm dating this person, but I don't want it to be known what's said in the article. So I think, yes, he wants her to have this coverage. Yes, he wants her to be on a magazine cover. But no, he does not want her saying those things that she said in the article, especially read by Robin. So I think
don't you hear him during this? Like, well, doesn't this make me sound good? You hear him say that a couple times during this.
During it, you do, yeah. It's true.
But I think, it's because the way she's reading it, he's fighting against it. So I think he's saying that because she's reading it in such a way that's making him sound even worse.
Like she's sounding like a tool.
They're all fucking laughing at him.
But it's the same way. Picture if that Lila Arcieri clip was played before she called in and before she described what was said and he said his spin about it. That's what... This isn't that, though. This is the opposite. This is, we're going to hear it from Robin first before he gets to put the spin on it.
Okay. All right.
Oh, speaking of which, Sam, I'd like to give you your take now that we're recording. You've heard the first part of the Lila Arcieri saga, which second one's going to be coming out soon. So you didn't think we were too over the top or too over the top sexist when we were talking?
No, I actually thought the opposite. I was happy to just have a male perspective on this, especially like 3 super insightful males. And I really thought not only was it hilarious and I couldn't stop laughing with the analogies, but I liked the humor of it. I thought it was just great. I absolutely loved it. I was riveted and I couldn't stop laughing. So I had to turn it off at some point on my work because it would have looked a little weird that I was like, laughing at my desk for a substantial amount of time.
Okay, fair enough. Let's continue.
First of all, whoever is interviewing her has a little bit to say about Beth before they even start asking her questions. She indicates that Beth had never listened to the show before.
It's true.
But they write it this way. Beth had never listened to the show before she met her flatulent megastar boyfriend.
That's something. That's a feather in your cap.
The fart man that never happened. That came down. I mean, imagine coming down on something that's going to be around for all of time. That fart man segment at the VMAs. Yeah. And then nothing comes of it. So what is it? I mean, if somebody looks back on that and says, what the hell is he doing? Well, it would have made sense if there was a movie made afterwards, but it wasn't.
Yeah, he's the big problem. One of the many problems he has is he loves to promote. He loved to promote at some point like he had something going on constantly, and until he verified he had something going on, it was like saying, listen, wait till you see this girl, wait till you see this girl. And then all of a sudden there is no girl. Mm-hmm. You know, he was such a victim of his own like narcissism and wanting to show people he was bigger than he was, or that he had more happening. And when you can't produce the film, you can't produce the girl in this case, or you can't produce the film project, Porky's, the fucking the Howard Stern high school years, you name them, guys. He promoted the shit out of these fucking things that didn't exist.
I know. I know. And so that's what I'm saying. If you go back in this time capsule, it must be weird for somebody to be like, what the fuck is he doing? And by the way, when you say you don't know somebody that's super famous, it reminds me of, Heather, what's her face? The guy the peg leg who married Paul McCartney, Heather Mills.
Oh, Heather Mills, yeah.
Sorry about, I'm not trying to be in, what's it called? An ableist, disableist? I don't know. She sucks. And then
one sec. I'm going to have to restart the computer because I'm cutting in. This is 5 times my mic has cut out completely. So, and you guys have been, your sound has been going on, but I have no way of knowing if the whole sound went out or just mine. Because you guys could hear it. So give me, it'll literally take like 90 seconds. Okay. So you can stay in the call if you need to, but I'm going to, actually you can't. I'm going to have to start a new one anyway. So I'll just end this one.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Robin, let's do a little news.
You guys can hear that?
Can I start off my point?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Let me just cue it up to that where that ended.
Necessary.
Jesus. Asking her questions. She indicates that Beth had never listened to the show before.
It's true.
But they write it this way. Beth had never listened to the show before she met her flatulent megastar boyfriend.
Right.
Okay. Go. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, so I also think the same way Meghan Markle said that she went on a blind date with Prince Harry, one of the most famous people on earth, and just wanted to know if he was kind, but didn't know who she was going on a date with. Or Heather Mills when it came to Paul McCartney, and she didn't know. And Hilaria Baldwin never owned a TV or saw Alec Baldwin. She just had a kind of a a peripheral idea of who he was. These people who say shit like that are such frauds. And I don't know if the people who are in the relationship with them are participating in this fraud, in this fairy tale, or if they're actually being defrauded. With Howard, I think he was a welcoming participant because when we heard from the Lila Arcieri clip, he likes, and Bob said this in that episode too, that they like, even though they know what they're angling for, that they like to believe in their heads that this is some organic thing that's happening.
Yeah,
they're nuts.
Me. Well, the funny thing, you mentioned that, and I'm preambling it, so I'm sorry, guys. Preambling. My God, I'm a 79. Let me cut that out. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Recently, we're going to get the clips, but he said something recently in the last week or so about, I've invested 25 years, a lot of money in the last 25 years with you. Like, he's invested money on her, on Beth, as if she's some kind of like a car. But again, they are possessions to these narcissistic assholes.
Oh, yeah.
So,
right.
But the funny thing is 25 years takes us to 1997.
But that is quite the statement. And I will say, I think, though, he's short-sighted in the sense that if you don't realize that Beth Furry Friends, then that Bianca's Furry Friends, whatever, North Shore Animal League that they were doing, that was a total tax grift write-off, that they were paying a lot of their expenditures, travel. You could do even clothing for TV things to promote it. You can write all of that off. So for whatever he's saying that he's paying for it, he also enriched himself.
Oh, yeah. Bob?
So what was that in context to? I've invested money for 25 years. What was he talking? I mean, I know he's talking about her.
I'm not getting the quote
how did it come up?
I can't remember exactly. We're going to have to cover it in one of the next breakdown we do if we get to it, because there's still a lot of stuff, including the awful Ben Stern eulogy. But
I'm assuming, and I didn't hear this live, but my assumption is maybe because of the money he was talking about, because I did hear this about spending on his parents, whether it be a TV with speakers closer to their heads so they could hear the TV, for God's sakes, or, it seemed like he was constantly complaining about the financial burden on supporting his elderly parents. So maybe one can assume that it was all, he related it to, hey, but I've supported you for 25 years financially too.
Well, it could be that, but also he could be bringing up the fact that he's had to crowbar her on shows. This FHM, we spent a good chunk of the previous episode saying he clearly shoehorned her in here somehow by, well, I'm sure he didn't, again, drop a nickel. It was all like quid pro quo, just plug us and then, we'll put her in this fucking magazine and act like she's hot. And then... But all those shows that she had managed to get on, those pilots that didn't get picked up. I mean, I'm sure that he had to go out of pocket for some of those things.
And imagine how enraged he must be, because during that time, that was the way to boost your star status, I guess you could say, or elevate your public knowledge of who this person is and visibility.
Q rating, I think they call it.
Right. But now you have social media, so you could do it for free. So imagine how pissed he must be thinking back at all the money he wasted to try to throw this horse in front of our face at every chance he could.
Yep, absolutely. So in terms of the context, Bob, I have to go. We'll have to wait until we do it, actually, because I have to make the clips myself. But I'll send you the stuff before we even record, so you can get a good listen to it. At least the 5 minutes before or something like that.
I'm just wondering, like, I've invested this money. You better take care of me, or I've invested, like, what does she owe him? Like, that's what I'm wondering.
Yeah.
What does she owe him?
Yeah.
I will say, for this article, she looked, emaciated. But recently we posted on our Facebook page, somebody did a picture of, like, a selfie or something of her from Instagram, and her collarbone and her neck, like, looks sinewy, and like the collarbones popping out. And my mom, who's a nurse, she commented on the photo and was like, oh my God. I mean, it looked so bad. And I think about that and I'm thinking, wow, that was all these years ago, and I thought she was too thin then. Oh yeah. Now it's even worse.
Bob?
So we just signed with a clinic that it's all nutritional based.
Oh, wow.
And I was reading some of the notes to familiarize myself with that type of medicine. And they see a lot of people for bulimia and anorexia. And I kept seeing like horse-like features over and over. Like,
oh my God,
one of the descriptors for people that are really, and I was like, oh man,
Gaunt?
Like it's not funny, but I'm sitting here thinking, how many times has she been called a horse? But anyways,
that's interesting. That gaunt feature makes you look more horse-like. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. It's perfect in this particular
Makes
case.
sense.
Yeah.
Not necessary.
Jesus. Which I thought was funny. She said, I don't want to get confused, she admits. I know him as how he was when I met him, and from what I hear, he's just so different on the show. His shtick on the air is very different from the way he really is. I don't listen.
Wow. Now, hold on one sec. Before you do that, keep in mind, guys, one thing you have to remember here, and this is, we're bringing again the Lila Arcieri series, which I believe, the part 2, like I said, is coming out soon. The big problem with this is, in the Lila Arcieri thing, it's spring 2001. He's supposedly already with Beth at this time. And this is not even, I can't remember exactly when this was, but it's, let's say, it's spring of the following year.
I think it's 2002. Yeah.
Yes. So a year later, now all of a sudden these years with her are, I've been with her a while now, whatever. The Lila series, like thing is a blip in this whole thing. But why haven't you mentioned her name? If she's this famous model, or she's been modeling since she was 9, why can't you mention her on the air? Because of the divorce, that was years ago. That was 2-3 years before.
Right.
So
he wants to fuck around still. And he doesn't want people to know.
That's got to be the only reason, right?
That's why guys do that. Yeah.
Or he was still testing people out for who's the best beard. I don't know, but I also think too that she's saying, I don't listen. I want to know him for who he is with me. Mm-hmm. These sound like things that are the pretext. They're pre-programmed, but they're also the pretext for what Howard wanted to become. He wanted that image as, I'm not the crazy guy on the radio. I'm somebody different. Because remember before Beth, it used to be, this is my subconscious talking. I'm free flowing. This is me. I am real on this microphone. And now we're hearing, this isn't real. I'm a different person when I'm around Beth. And so this became the genesis for how he got in the back door with other celebrities and started sitting at the cool kids table. Was this girl is going to be the, I guess, parrot for me, that I'm a better, different person, and the person on the air is a character.
So another form of Robin, like another form of cover, essentially.
But worse, because and it just reeks of dishonesty.
Yeah, it ended up backfiring on as this article will evidence. Bob?
I remember that being the narrative that was pushed at this time, that Howard is such a different guy off the air. I'm so different. He's a nice guy. He takes care of people. It's like this repetitious thing that would come up all the time. Yeah. I remember them pushing that a lot. And I bought it. He sprinkled his Howard dust on me, and I believed it.
Same. Well, I believe. Didn't you believe too, Bob, that when he got with Beth, he was a gentler, nicer, more considerate person because of her? That's how it was presented to us, and I believed it too.
See, the Beth stuff was just phony to me 100% the whole time.
Well, it didn't help that the guys on the show and everybody else with the show was propping the whole thing up. And it was like building a house on toothpicks.
Right.
And it just felt false to me for the longest time, because again, it was flawless Beth. Things happened to her. She's not responsible for them. We didn't get later on the whole Benji, I cheated on every boyfriend. All of a sudden she became like this total skis. But in contrast to 10 years earlier, this prim, proper, this and the other thing. Do you remember, Bob, when we covered the Sal interview where he was interviewing Beth?
Oh, yeah. That was a great one.
That's 2004, guys, and I'll recommend if you're still not on Patreon, get the fuck on it. It's really worth it, because we go deep into this stuff. And again, some of it's a little psychologically disturbing to hear when you take it out of the context of this is just a show, and when you start hearing what we hear. So
I do have to say one thing. I wasn't fooled entirely. There was always this fraudulent element that I thought about both of them. Okay. But there was this part of me when I was an avid listener that thought there must be something different because he's acting different. So even though it rang phony to me, the relationship, there was something about the way that, you keep getting drilled these talking points every day that you just sort of accept it. That you're just like, oh, okay, until you wake up and you're like, wait a minute, why did I ever accept that premise?
Well, for me, the last thing I'll add was I remember Howard getting a lot more open with his disdain for his audience. When the Beth stuff started coming and the nice guy stuff started coming in, it was I remember she had some cat episode or something.
Yeah.
And they're he's like, I don't care what this audience wants. Or she had that fucking Katie Lee or whatever that girl's name.
Yeah.
Do you know who I'm talking about?
Katie Lee Joel.
Katie Lee Joel.
And she's like, yeah, it's probably not going to be, exciting for your audience, which it wasn't. And she shouldn't have been interviewed. And it was a total starfucker thing. But he was like, I don't care what my audience wants. Like, I remember those digs started picking up more and more during that time. Like, the more Beth came in, the more elitist he got, the more he was open about how he hated his audience pretty much.
Right. Like I said, I thought that this ushered in this stepping stone for him. So this literally, this article and Robin reading the words of Beth are kind of the formation of this new, better Howard, supposedly. And you're right, with the Katie Lee Joel thing, it was, who is this for? Why are we doing this?
Right. It was another form of gift-scriptions in a lot of ways.
One last point, because I know we got to start these clips, but when I listen back, and I listened to this a couple times today, I feel like these are his first times of really starting to flirt with this divorce from reality, taking another step, really starting to believe the illusion. That's why I think he wanted Robin to actually read this, because he's like, I'm going to flirt with this a little bit. Can I believe the amount of bullshit in this?
Okay.
Can I start to take those steps into this, further, coming out of this shell type thing?
Well, that's an interesting theory, Bob, because certainly he was no stranger to trying on a million outfits and seeing which one fits when none of them fit. And certainly this type of Howard doesn't fit either, as evidenced by, subsequent clips. And then when you mention, shitting on the audience, what's a bigger shit on the audience than going to this new media format, not announcing that you're going to be off every single fucking Friday going forward, but then selling it as if occasionally we're going to have Fridays off. You know what I mean? That's the ultimate in disrespect. And I'm really surprised, actually, when I think back of that whole Fridays thing, that more people didn't cancel as a result. However, I do believe a lot of people wouldn't subscribe as a result of, no, this isn't not enough. I need 5 days of Stern. Otherwise, this isn't worth it.
Right.
Yeah.
So
it's habitual, man. Habits are hard to break. People got in the habit of listening to him in the morning, and there's a lot of people still in that habit, surprisingly.
Oh, fuck.
I don't know. Anyone could listen to him.
I don't think very many, but yeah, I hear you.
I don't think a lot, but there's some.
Yep.
And by the way, I think that's very healthy.
Thank you.
I'm so thrilled that my girlfriend doesn't listen.
You know how Bob said that he was getting used to hearing himself back as this new identity during this, when Robin's reading this kind of new thing that he's trying to put forth, but he's not exactly comfortable with how he's being talked about when it's talked to him. Mm-hmm. But it's ironic because if you read any article, interview that he's given over the last 2 decades in Rolling Stone or whatever, they are 3,000 times more cringeworthy and embarrassing. Well, so it is a little strange that he's so embarrassed by this, but he's not embarrassed if you look back at any of the interviews he's ever given, which are way worse.
But he's not embarrassed. This is what I'm telling you. Listen to how he's selling it. I think this is a good thing. I think this is good that she's saying this, and you'll hear it throughout this whole reading. Don't you think this sounds good? I think it. But I think he's selling
it. Yes, but you and I disagree. I think he's selling it the way he's trying to sell Chevy Chase's toast as being a good speech, a funny speech, honoring him by being funny.
Magic thinking.
He is not interpreting this. He's trying to spin this as something that's honoring and good and funny and nice and whatever. It's the same thing. That's what I think. I don't think he's trying to spin it because he actually thinks this. I think he knows inherently this is not good, but I'm going to sell it as that.
I also think he was in the opposite in Bob. I take the opposite stand. I don't think he wanted any hyper focus on this article. I don't think he wanted it explained or read. I don't think whether he thinks it's good or not is irrelevant. He's such a we saw, oh God, you don't have to blab Lila about, oh, I got a special word that I used to get in, and oh, I got electronic shades and this, that, and the other thing. If he won't allow stupid picayune shit like that to be on the air, like the color of his telephone, I don't know, something really trivial, who gives a shit? But he goes, no, that wasn't necessary. You don't need to tell that. Jesus, just because I invite you doesn't mean you tell them, I have 6 bathrooms. Like, no one gives a shit. This is trivial. And then with this particular thing, do I think he thinks it's embarrassing? I think, yeah, on some level he does. But he's, like Sam said, if you're going to spin it, be convincing. And he's not.
I'm telling you, I disagree.
Well, our audience can shoot their shot. See what they say.
He's trying on a new, he's flirting with taking the next steps into the illusion. 100%.
All right.
Steve, you're on the air.
Hello.
Yeah.
How you doing?
What's up?
Nothing much. I just wanted to say that I don't think Monet is so hot.
No, she's hot.
You weren't in here, bro.
You weren't in here.
I definitely don't think so. Yeah. I was looking at pictures on the web, and I think there's a lot better talent out there.
All right, that's your opinion.
All right, you're entitled.
Thank you.
That's basically it.
All right, thanks, Steve.
Beth's indifference to Howard's daily performance doesn't stop Stern from dropping in at her FHM shoot at a Brooklyn studio.
Can I just say something? She asked me to come to the shoot. I've never been to one of her shoots in my life. She asked me to come by, and I...
This sounds just like wait a minute, you didn't see, you were in Son of the Beach, and how you hadn't seen it, and I thought it'd be a good idea to show you. It sounds like bullshit.
No, I actually think she did ask him to drop by because he wields power, and so having his presence on set would make her feel like she's in more control and she's more important than she really is, versus them saying, who the fuck is this? Why are we shooting her?
Maybe, but on the other hand, he is so controlling. I have a feeling she was like, oh, God, what is he going to complain about now? Because we know what he's like now behind closed doors. And we know that she's now looks like some kind of bulimia, anorexia pamphlet photo. So like it must be a million times worse in a situation like this, because am I going to pose too sexy? Am I going to like say something stupid, put my foot in my mouth? You have to be on your P's and Q's with this fucking goblin. So I think the opposite, actually. Bob? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
But don't you think, Fillmore, as we listen to the, what's his name, that guy, the Dr. Abloh, that whole thing, she's a people pleaser. She wants to please him. So I think that she wanted him there because, she doesn't want to step a toe out of line. Go ahead, Bob.
She wants to sell him. She knows what he wants. This guy wants to feel like he's dating a model. She obviously wants to feel like a model too.
Yeah.
But having him there, she's selling him the illusion. This is the thing with people who can read people with NPD, like Marcy Turk has to be able to. Mm-hmm. They get what that person's illusion is, and they know how to feed into it. So I think part of it could have been like, hey, come to this model shoot so you can feel like you're dating a real model. Even though you bought me on here. I mean,
well, that's it. That's the whole thing. If it's predicated on bullshit, if it's predicated on he crowbarred me into this fucking thing, then that couldn't be part of the equation unless she's going to want to believe it. Like, oh, I'm a model. Yeah.
No,
it could be.
It's exactly what Fillmore, you remember during the Layla thing that you guys all mutually agreed that he wanted to believe that he was actually on a date with her. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the same concept. He wants to believe, even though he paid for this photo shoot to get her fucking ass out there, that she is really a model and that he is just this great guy visiting his supermodel girlfriend on the set. That's what he wants to play.
Then that ties into Bob's theory that this was all special.
Oh, you cut out for a second there. Now you're back.
Okay, that can happen. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That ties in then to Bob's way of thinking that this is all like a special. This is like a new jacket he's trying on. Oh,
Well, that's the thing, man. It doesn't see your logic. You're using logic here, and you're going, well, he knows that he bought. You don't get it. They don't.
Yeah.
They don't need that. They're feeling people. He needs to feel that she's a model. Even if you buy, it's all about what they can get you to believe, because they can believe. They see themselves through other people, right? So as long as you believe that she's a model, he believes that she's a model. You know what I mean? Like, even if he knows he bought her on there, that's irrelevant.
Remember the first, I think it was the very first NPD episode we did. And I played that Sam Vaknin clip where he's lecturing, or he's at a seminar. And so he says to this person, I believe that you believe. He said, I believe that you believe
exactly.
that. He goes, but however, what you believe means absolutely nothing to me. Like your belief means nothing.
I believe that
it's what I believe that's important.
That's right.
Right.
And
okay.
This ties into, too, a lot of celebrities do this, whether it be like, for example, faux feminism. You know, you got like Olivia Wilde wearing feminist T-shirts all the time. Feminist. I kicked Shia LaBeouf off my set because I wasn't feeling that energy, that, you know, aggressive energy. Bullshit. You wanted him on the movie. You got caught. It's this idea of, but I want to present myself as something that I'm not.
You'll have to explain that a little bit more in depth for people who don't know the situation, because I'm not completely
I'm sorry,
aware of this.
Okay, she was doing a movie called "Don't Worry, Darling," I believe it's called, and the actress Florence Pugh was not happy that Shia LaBeouf was the main character with her in the movie because of everything that he's had alleged against him, being abusive to his ex. I forgot her name, F.A. Twigs or something like that.
Okay, this is all news to me. Go ahead.
And so Olivia put an article out in, I think, Variety magazine or Hollywood magazine, something like that, saying, I support women. I'm a feminist. This energy wasn't good. I knew what I had to do, and basically made it seem like she fired him. Then Shia read the article and blasted her and posted the video of her sending to him saying, I think we can work this out. Miss Pugh, she called the actress, Miss Pugh is going to have to learn a few things. Maybe this will be a wake-up call for her.
Oh, wow.
And so he was like, are you fucking kidding me? You wanted me on this movie. I said that you didn't rehearse enough. That was my concern. You never expressed concern about me. You were upset about the actress. So essentially the actress never talked to her during the Cannes Film Festival. Like, she wouldn't talk to her. She wouldn't sit near her, and she wouldn't do any press for the movie after that came out.
That's spilling quite a bit of tea all around.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. Let's continue.
Said I would.
Were you barking out orders?
No. I said this is ridiculous, and I'm here, and I left after about a half hour.
She says, I've always wanted him to come and see me, but it was just not appropriate.
Yeah, this was appropriate.
And it didn't exist is what it was. She didn't want to see me at the Ames photo shoots. Fuck. Jesus.
It was the first time he's ever seen me work. So there. She did think you were nervous being down there. All right. So
I was.
Beth was stunning. They say she was walking around the whole set with her bra and panties on, totally comfortable.
That's true.
Most hookers are comfortable like that.
So the first question was, have you always been happy to be naked in public?
Oh, man. What'd she say?
She says, I'm 29 and I've been modeling since I was 9. So over the years, I've just gotten really comfortable putting on clothes in front of other people. I don't even think about it when I...
But that's not true, because if you listen to her on the mic, if she's so self-conscious, I don't look cute, I won't come on if I don't think I look cute, I need compliments, you need to grease me up in order to get me on a microphone. I mean, this is not true whatsoever. And you've been modeling for 20 years? Give me a break.
Well, that's isn't that it? Like, when you use these things like, I speak multiple languages, I've been modeling for 20 years. It's to me, it's like Shuli saying, look, I've been doing stand-up for 13 years. What's the result?
Right.
Like, you
Right.
know, you're still being complaining about being called a hack on the air by one of your coworkers who's just as big a hack, if not more, but way more popular and likable.
I got a friend, man. He's involved in the arts. I won't go in case he ever hears this, but he like calls himself a musician, and it's like, bro, you've never had anything come out on any labels or
Right.
like, you know, like I know you've been making music for 20 years, but musicians usually get paid when you call yourself that, you know.
That's right. Like when you say I'm a musician, you're assuming you're saying I'm a professional.
Right.
Right.
You have to put the context. I know loads of people who are, you know, writers. Like, well, so where do you work? Oh, I'm a teacher. Okay. Okay, fair enough.
Here, she just said, I've been doing this since I was 9. So she's 29, so 20 years. Google image Beth Ostrowski. There was next to nothing. That wouldn't happen if you were a successful model actually making income from anything. There was nothing back then. Now, nothing.
When we just 1 sec, Bob. When we did, Carrie and I did the Amanda Pete episode, Repeater, also on Patreon, guys, and we read out the IMDb film credits. There's a 4-year gap at one point between 1996 and 2000 where she's got nothing. And these are the lost European years. When we say European, read Middle East, fucking whoring. And there's not even one fucking grainy, shitty magazine snap of a magazine shoot she was involved in. Let's say even if it was just like FHM light, the Netherlands, version, something like that. Nothing. Right. Zero. That's impossible. You cannot scrub all that from the internet because there's always somebody with some file dump, whatever, that they've got like saved of all these photos. They don't exist because that never happened.
Exactly. Like, so she's implying I'm used to taking my clothes off in front of strangers, so it's not a big deal. So you're implying that you've done this a lot. But if you were a model like that for 20 years, we would know you. People would know you. Like, that's a long modeling career.
Yeah.
Like, we would have heard of you. I mean, I don't know models or whatever, but you go ahead.
Like, even if you didn't hear of her, you would see the Google images of things that she's done.
Right.
So these lost years, you're telling me you've been modeling since you were 9, and then in the prime of your career, with the years of a model, according to the years that are missing, we have nothing on you. No European photo shoots, no catalogs. Like, there's barely anything. There's a few things, but those things all exist in, weird times, and it's not frequent, and it's very, you could tell it's been scrubbed. Whatever exists has been really scrubbed.
It's a hit and miss, first of all. I think a lot of it just doesn't exist. And what people have come across, like the true, what was it? I got raped by my dentist, those true crime books or whatever. I forget what it's called, real stories or something.
Self.
Self. Yeah. These magazines, these random shoots. Yeah, exactly. They exist because she got famous. She got with Stern and people sought these out. There was a time when the Stern Fan Network type, people, the us, the netizens would like look through old magazines. Google only goes so far in terms of how far back it will go. However, things get archived and they show up on websites and blogs and whatever. And Dame Bethman, the Beth fan page, she's got great for getting these old things and, collecting them and putting articles around them and stuff. But they're absolutely, if she was any kind of professional model for 20 years, would have some trail of fucking work, a portfolio, as they say.
It's the illusion, man. It's the illusion that she's selling him because he wants that. No real models would ever date this motherfucker at all.
Right.
I was looking for the one that she decided to name her. She went under the heading of Bianca Jane. Do you remember that photo shoot?
It was a sunglasses photo shoot.
That's right.
Like some obscure brand, and she went by the name Bianca Jade, which is bizarre. And it was around the time when she was supposedly starting to date Stern, but he wasn't claiming her as. Right. So it's almost like more work picked up for her under this alias when they started to date.
Well, the other thing is that makes it even more like loathsome is apparently the name Bianca for the dog, and obviously
I know
that she knows was supposedly the name of a stripper at Scores, and Ralph decided she's gonna take the name of a fucking stripper.
That's like the most stripper name I've ever heard, Bianca Jade. Bianca Jade,
my dog.
Yeah.
I do that anymore. Yeah. Most of my jobs are for lingerie and bathing suit clients, so I am very, very comfortable with that. It's funny, I'm really insecure with my body, but once I put clothes on to work, something changes and I automatically become really confident.
All right, so this is her changing into Batman. Yeah. This is Beth going like, well, now I'm a model. I'm deciding I'm going to put this on and play. Let's play
natural.
Model. Yeah,
she's a natural, man.
Jesus Christ.
There you go.
All right.
Nothing funny about that.
No. You're wearing some pretty sexy things. Is your closet at home full of similar items? It is now. I never used to be into lingerie.
It is now that I'm dating a guy who also wears lingerie in his downtime.
Yeah, and can actually pay for this fucking shit, and so I don't have to blow guys to get what do you call it, Victoria's Secret shit.
But with this relationship.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Sam.
It's this image too that she's trying to sell what she thinks is the right thing to do. That I wasn't, but now because I'm dating the shockiest jock, the craziest sex addicted, porn guy on the radio. Now,
of course.
But then she's saying this while also saying he's not the same guy on the radio. So which is it? Is he the guy on the radio, or is he the guy that makes you, change your underwear drawer into a fucking, Fredericks of Hollywood show? Shut up.
She's selling him the illusion. Like, this is where I kind of look at Beth and I'm like, all right, you were kind of a manipulative predator yourself. Like, you definitely knew this guy was insecure. You definitely knew he was weak. You definitely knew the illusion he was going for. This is all her selling it. She's like, marry me. Let me lock this down. I'll say whatever. I'm into lingerie. You're a different guy. I'm a model. Whatever. I've been to the moon. What do you want to hear? Right.
Yeah.
But your hair's real.
But I don't think that her illusion that she was selling to get the ring, I don't think she bargained for the narcissist that he truly is.
Yeah.
And, so that really backfired on her.
Well, as evidenced by that Sal interview that me and Bob covered, because that was years in. She's, she's like Shuli, she's, quote, paid her dues, and yet she's still getting this. It was almost like an interrogation because half of the fucking questions were from Howard. Bob?
Well, yeah, the old cliche, if you marry for money, you earn every cent, how do you think people get treated that get bought? I mean, they don't get treated well. Like someone bought you. So I just think, her with the engagement chicken, and she's 29. This is when women really start ramping up, lock a guy down, usually a beta type dude like Howard.
Yeah.
She just knew. She knew the illusion. She knew he was weak. She's manipulated tons of guys before, but she saw the cheese, but she didn't see the trap. Another cliche, but that's what happened with her. And she's been earning that money ever since, believe me.
That's perfect. That's a perfect analogy.
Yep.
Relationship, I've started to experiment with lingerie, and I'm having fun with it. I was never into it. I just thought it was something I had to wear when I went to work. I really love it, though. I find things for special occasions, and I will dress up. I like to look sexy for Howard, and I like having little surprises for him and dressing up in frilly things for him. I feel sexy when I do it.
Oh my God. First of all, Robin's voice during this is priceless. It's
perfect.
Amazing because it should be read this way. because it's that stupid and it sounds that ridiculous.
It's the perfect amount of piss in the coffee.
This is Robin's finest moment.
Yes.
She earned her paycheck this day. The only time, but she earned it today.
Well, yeah. And as they explain later, this is exactly what they would do to other people if they got a hold of an interview that was cringy. She got a hold of it. She goes, "These answers are fucking retarded. I'm reading this and I don't care what he says."
Could you imagine if another celebrity's BIM posted an article? I mean, say John Bon Jovi's girlfriend decided I like to feel sexy and dress up for him in frilly things. It's so nuts.
She dressed up as Ralph.
Imagine if your fiance wrote something. Sam is just the perfect person. You'd be like, dude, go rewrite this shit. I'm not putting this out. This is stupid. Exactly. Like if I had a girl, if my girlfriend put that out and it was going to go public, I'd be like, are you out of your fucking mind? Go do this interview. Like, this is so ridiculous. But Howard's such a narcissist. He's like, just let people buy this so I can buy it. He's so desperate, man.
But he's going on two things. By the fact that I'm a different guy and I'm a decent, kind, nice guy who's respectful. And then also by the fact that I want my girlfriend to change all her clothes and wear sexy, frilly things for me whenever I'm around. How does that translate? It doesn't. You're an asshole and you sound like one. It just sounds horrible and scripted. It
is scripted. It is scripted.
I don't know that this one is, but I think the following FHM articles, she was allowed to take the questions in advance and write the answers and submit them in advance. So it wasn't like a one-on-one. And that's because after this, I'm certain that's exactly what had to go down, because he's like, I'm going to review these fucking answers this time.
I think he reviewed them before. I'm still maintaining my
you think he reviewed this as well and he thought this was okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
I 100% think so.
I might agree with Bob because it was so fresh in the relationship and this was her first thing and he came on set and stuff like that. And I think because he's such a 79, if he really believed that this sounded, I think that in hindsight, when he's hearing Robin read it back to him, he's embarrassed. But I think in the original on paper, when he's reading it, he thinks I'm a stud.
Oh, dude. He read it the night before and he was like, I'm going to kill him tomorrow when this gets read, man. I'm going to knock him out with this.
So can we agree then?
He thought that.
But then can we agree then, Bob, the second Robin started reading it back to him is when he realized maybe, oh, fuck.
I think it's when everybody started laughing. I mean, Artie, you hear it, it's like, Jesus, dude. Like, everyone's like, come on, man.
Well,
I mean, you'll hear it. It's coming up. And I think that's when he's like, uh-oh. Like, this isn't going the way I envisioned it last night, where everyone gave me a standing ovation.
I think, I'm slowly coming to your side of your side of the argument here, because it is totally in line with him being that stupid, as if to think, yes, they'll buy this. They'll buy anything I put out. If I make, a Fartman movie, it'll make $100 million. It'll beat Wayne's World and all that bullshit. And he's said on the air many times about his whole magic thinking. Like, if you believe it, it's true. And but the problem is the real world doesn't work like that, of course, and you can't get people to buy a Maserati when it's actually a fucking Volkswagen.
But he also has this magic thinking with his audience that had made us as listeners through the years believe certain facets about him that weren't necessarily true, because everything kind of had a sameness to it on the radio show, and everything kind of rang true to us as how we knew the show and how we knew him. And then when he got the divorce, it was like something shifted and we didn't know what felt something. It wasn't just because they broke up. It was like something in him shifted that didn't feel exactly similar. Like something wasn't right. Yeah. And I think that when you do that and then you pile on this, it all of a sudden starts to wake people up from their coma. They're like, wait a minute, are you really the way I think you are? What?
Well, there's a couple ways he could have handled it. Number one is to keep her in 100% under wraps and don't promote her. Don't put her in these fucking projects. Give her all the kind of money you want. Give her a huge lavish lifestyle, but don't act like don't do to her what you did to Allison and make everything on the air. The other thing was the other way was to be fully transparent and say, I fucking bought this hooker, this broken down fucking Pittsburgh filly, and I'm just gonna, I'm going to have as much fun as I want, and I don't give a shit. People would have admired the honesty that way.
Right.
It's better than what they ended up doing, which is part of this.
But he saw, like, the thing about his ex-wife is she tethered him to reality, where people with NPD, especially in his case where he has people coming in, he's so fucking stupid. Like, chicks would come in, oh, I want to bang you, this and that. They didn't, but he's too dumb to know, He's like, man, I could easily leave reality and go into my false self. So it's right there.
Yeah.
And it's like, as soon as the wife went away, that's what I'm saying. He's starting to flirt with, like, I can really take this leap right now. Like, I want to think I'm dating a model, like, and that she'll love me or whatever. But he's toying with it in this stage. He's like, I can really leave this.
Yeah, I have this girl that, she changed her whole underwear drawer for me. It's a bunch of feathered moo-moos and thongs.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, he created, like I said, he created us. And he created, but the problem was a lot of us were eventually smart enough to figure out that these things don't add up. And also, you can't be that cynical about everything in life and all of a sudden expect us not to turn the needle on you eventually when you start failing and when you start being less than honest about certain things in your life, and it comes out. And then when you don't address them, it's even worse. It compounds the fucking anger and the ire and the disbelief. And then ultimately the fans go, fuck this. No, you're full of shit.
He, in the beginning of this, allowed some self-deprecation to come on the air.
Mm-hmm.
The callers, the Stern Fan Network boards. He couldn't do that anymore. Again, this is just the beginning of the end because he needed this false sense to be true, even though he knows it's not true. We know it's not true. And when you present yourself like some way every day, every morning for all these years, and then all of a sudden this guy pops up, people are going to notice.
Yeah.
Excited. Yeah, me too.
See, it is a good article.
I like the way you read it.
What's your favorite item of clothing?
She does a great Beth impression, Robin.
Yeah.
I've started getting into shoes now that I don't have to wear flats.
That's right.
Most of the guys I've been out with have been short, but Howard is 6'5". I wear really high heels now.
Yep.
He loves how tall I am. I think that's his favorite thing about me physically.
we all go after women because they're tall.
Or short.
Really.
The height has nothing to do with anything except for that he thinks it makes him look good. You wore flats with other people. I mean, really? Have you ever seen a supermodel or a model trot out on a red carpet or shopping or whatever in their real life, and they're going to decide to not wear heels ever because they're hoping that a guy will like them if they're wearing some fucking flip-flops? Get the fuck out of here. They will rock those heels all day, every day. That's their thing.
Yeah, I put on these special horseshoes because I knew he would be into it. So I don't know. I think that the other thing is, she said, well, we won't go into it because it's a whole other argument. It's a stupid thing to argue about. He's 6'5". He told her he's 6'5", but he's easily taller than that.
6'8", I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely. Freakishly tall.
Freakishly tall, and I think this too kind of goes with like their insecurities, like.
Yeah.
Whatever they're insecure about, this article is rewriting it. Like, I always had to do this, but now I'm with somebody tall. So now I feel good that I'm an awkward gork. Like, fuck off.
She's selling it. She's selling it. Look, we're both tall. Engagement. Let's eat engagement chicken tonight. We're both tall. Yeah. I'm kind of like a man's height, man's build. I think you're into that too. The whole
I'm
thing.
in show business.
That's his favorite thing about me, a genetic component that I can't control.
Yeah. Not the fake bolt-ons.
The fuck?
Oh, man.
Yeah, don't mind the fact that my infrastructure on my chest is failing and it looks like Detroit. Goodbye.
Okay.
I don't know.
Not her breasts, not her vagina.
I like her height.
Nothing's running a close
It's really not,
second.
and even Ralph said to me, I stand up straight when I stand next to her.
Oh, is that right?
That's right.
How did you meet him?
Who, Ralph?
No. How did Beth meet him?
Yeah, let's hear that story.
Yeah, totally. Even Ralph approved of her, which is important to me. That's what's not being said. Yeah, this is a good choice.
I was listening to 101 today just to see what was on. And it was about the plantain chips.
Oh, yeah.
And Gary and the plantain chips and Jason outing him for eating these stupid plantain chips. I mean, it's not funny at all. The only thing I like about it is the both. I mean, like, it's just so dumb. But anyways, he said during it, he goes, and Ralph was over and we just kept doing the plantain. And I was thinking to myself, you say this a lot. For somebody who says he doesn't ever see Ralph, he seems to always be around.
Or have no friends.
It's just like, why are you hanging out with Ralph talking about plantain chips if he's just your stylist and you never see him? Shut up.
She outed him for eating plantain chips. Who gives a fuck?
Well, that was at that point where they would, literally go, you know what, guys, guess what? Sometimes I heard about Will. Sometimes Will likes to jaywalk. That was the level of controversy they're going for at some point, making it something out of nothing and going after Bowie. I mean, they did that years earlier with the black and white chips, like the Girl Scout type cookies. And black and white cookies, whatever, which Oreo.
And the shrimp.
And the shrimp, yeah, big time. So it's like, it's just cyclical. Eventually it'll be, and then now later on it's, are you drinking a lot of here?
Right.
Plantain chips, though. Who fucking cares? What?
They want to make it that a bit. I don't know. Maybe plantain chips were advertising on the show. I have no idea.
Who knows?
So, stupid.
How did she meet
A girl I was working with invited me to dinner. I barely knew this girl.
Oh, hold on. I got to rewind that just a little bit because this is like he says because we unfortunately cut it in the way. He goes, how did you meet Howard? And he goes, this I got to hear. It's like, oh, you mean you're not sure that the bullshit has been properly documented? Let's find out.
Okay.
I don't know.
Not her breasts, not her vagina.
I like her height.
Nothing's running a close
It's really not,
second.
and even Ralph said to me, I stand up straight when I stand next to her.
Oh, is that right?
That's right.
How did you meet him?
Who, Ralph?
No. How did Beth meet Howard?
Yeah, how did she meet
A
me?
girl I was working.
Did you hear him go?
How
did she meet
me?
Yeah, which one did we go with?
Yeah, which one? It's like Mad Libs. What do we do?
Is this this is the restaurant bullshit one. Okay, yeah, I know this one. I got to
noun
memorize.
here.
Yeah.
Working with invited me to dinner. I barely knew this girl, but I went because I wasn't dating anyone and I was actually miserable. It was a sad time in my life. I don't know what was going on, but it was a sad time in her life. Howard showed up with his friend Ralph.
And Cabby, but Cabby's not mentioned.
Which is
Sad
even
time in her life. It's about to get a whole lot worse.
Oh yeah.
For her.
It's so strange because you know how he said, I wonder what she said, even though I'm kind of leaning towards maybe he saw this beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that he doesn't mention Cabby, remember, Fillmore, you and I speculated that some threesome bullshit went down with Cabby, some, hey, handsome man, and he was always hanging out at his pool. Something definitely went down freaky with Cabby. And so I think when he said, oh, I hope, I wonder, I bet he was worried about her mentioning Cabby.
Maybe. Because Cabby's still in the picture, by the way, guys, but not really, you don't hear him on the air as much at this point, but you will hear him, and he's still working on K-Rock, I believe. I can't remember exactly, but the timeline, but he's not kicked to the curb until years later in the serious years. But there's that, and we'll have to, I don't know, maybe listen to more clips and figure that out.
Because then it fortifies it even further. Like, picture Paul Lynde, Nathan Lane, and Elton John going to a dinner party. What do you think about that? You know, so it just adds another layer to this weird fucking setup that they're trying to push on us.
Well, and let's say, guys, for example, like you're just spitballing here, that, you know, maybe involved men and women, but it was like a swapping thing, and then all of a sudden, you know, you the music stops and you pick the nearest fucking body of flesh, and it's a guy. Well, I guess I got to fuck you, and that's how it works, you know. Musical assholes. I don't know.
Plus, you have to remember during this time too, Ralph was super into ecstasy, and so was Cabby. That was always prevalent during that time period. And it was the time period for ecstasy. No offense, you know.
I know they call a lot, like nowadays, Stuttering John is called the Dabbler, and there's a whole Reddit thread about it too as well. It's called the Dabblers Anonymous or something, because Chrissy Mayer is an infamous interview where she said, I heard you how long were you dabbling in comedy? And he got all he literally went like, well, no, that's not really, I've been doing it for like 20 years now. We know you as the comedian, John, come on. I just sent I'm sure Sam's seen this photo already, but I just sent a thing in the chat about a picture of Robin. Allison, it was up from Allison Norris's Instagram, and James Santiago sent it to me, and he said, like, what do you think about this? And doesn't Robin look extremely gaunt, like in the neck?
Yeah.
Now she's 70, I think, or closing on 70. That could just be, you know, you're getting older. All of a sudden you can start getting, she mentioned about weight loss, like 40 pounds. That sounds to me more indicative of cancer. The cancer's coming back. She went somewhere and she had one of those caps on. She's not wearing a wig, that she's in treatment again. I don't want to say bad about her. I'm gonna keep this out of the thing. But what's your take on the way she looks?
I think you're right. I think it's cancer coming back. And I think
I know they need more energy than regular cells. Cancer cells are a bitch. That's how they feed. They basically feed on you. And that's why people at end stage start getting so fucking frail. It's horrible to watch. But
I know a lot of people said she had another lap band or something like that. I don't think that, because with her immunocompromised state from already having such a severe form of cancer, I don't think a doctor would allow her to have a cosmetic procedure like that.
I don't think so either. One sec, let me see if I can find
it. Especially that much weight in that short amount of time really says to me that it's a real severe career in life.
You know, yeah, she's in her 70s. I mean, I don't think she looks bad.
It's not bad yet, but that it's noticeable. It's very noticeable. It's almost like a chicken neck.
Here's what I will say. You know how the Queen just died?
Yeah.
It was very quick that all of a sudden you started looking at her from the point of the Jubilee to the point where she, sworn in the PM, Liz Truss, in the UK, that she looked like she lost a ton of weight, and she started having that neck thing herself. I noticed the same sort of appearance, and then she was dead. So,
well, we do call her Queen Ophelia. That's an ironic comparison. Well, I don't know. I mean, to me, it's first of all, that cancer that she had, you don't bounce back from that really. Like 9 times.
What was it again?
Endometrial cancer, and I believe bowel. I think the great. I don't know. I'm certain it spread. It was stage 4 when they got it. There was they said a grapefruit sized tumor in your body. You don't grow something like that and not have it spread to other organs.
In her colon.
We think she has to wear a piss bag, which so part of her
bladder.
Yeah, part of her bladder, I think, had to get removed, or the whole bladder, even.
But was it ever confirmed that it metastasized or no?
She did. She can. Oh, that it spread.
Yeah.
No, but if it was stage 4, then that means
bad.
It has. Yeah.
There are definitely lymph nodes taken out. I think that too. She had this cancer, right? I think that, as somebody like her who's so high profile, kind of anal about things, she must have not been going to doctors that are Western medicine.
She wasn't.
Because I think that she was trying to fix this on her own. And, and the whole thing was like, I'm going to show you guys what this diet and thing can do. And I'm going to fix myself. Like, I really think she was in denial about it for a long time. Yeah. Yes.
There's a lot of people like that in the history that have been trying to go to the fucking Mexican doctor who breaks the bone, the animal, like chicken bone, and then pulls the shit out of your stomach, and there's the tumor. Like,
listen, I'm not all for the pharmaceutical, Western medicine kind of, I guess you could say, cartel that's going on right now. Like, I don't like that.
I can confirm that. I'm in that industry.
Yeah, it's
100%.
brutal. I think it's really bad.
But with cancer.
But with but there's certain things where it's like, there's certain things though that if you're on stage 4 cancer, you had to have known something.
Here's the thing. A lot of people with stage 4 though basically get told there's nothing we can do.
Oh yes, they do. There's then 4A, B, and C, and whatever.
So then they'll start to seek out the trips to Mexico and all of that type of shit.
Yeah, coffee enemas.
Coffee enemas, yeah.
See, and then coffee enemas was something that used to be such a popular fad when people did have cancer.
Much like tanning.
Because I'll tell you why she has the cancer. If you need to do coffee enemas to cause contractions of the gallbladder, that means that you have dysbiosis, meaning you have too much pathogenic bacteria in your intestines versus probiotic bacteria, which is healthy. So if Robin went on these diets and she detoxed, it doesn't necessarily mean that you've reversed long-standing dysbiosis. And if you haven't done that, then you can definitely reoccur without question.
Wouldn't that create, though, like, because you know how cell cancer is, they're not talking to each other. The cells just keep multiplying, right?
That's right.
So it's like they're not communicating. So don't you think that something that disruptive to somebody's system would cause some sort of car accident, let's say, in an analogy, in their body, in their cells, and then they just start not communicating to each other properly because you're shoving all this shit up your ass and doing all these things that don't need to be fucked with.
I knew who he was, but I didn't know a lot about him. We started talking, and we haven't been apart since. That was almost 2 years ago. We kind of clicked right away, and the next morning he called me. What time in the morning did you call?
Wait, so
8 o'clock in the morning?
Yes.
Almost 2 years ago, and it's like March 2002.
So that's what I'm saying. Remember the Lila Arcieri clip, like you guys said. So this is another proof positive that you talked since, according to Beth. You've never stopped since you first saw her. But you must have stopped to have Nobu with Lila and show her your bedroom and be a total creep with your electronics, you fucking dork.
Right, and that's why I was so nasty in that, and I said something like, why don't you throw this at Beth in a fucking interview? Play the audio of him.
Hey, Layla, you want to play Zelda?
Yeah.
You are wacky.
We hung out till about 4 in the morning, and I called her at 8.
Good Lord, did you say as soon as you got home?
I don't miss an opportunity.
The next morning he called me, so she came right over?
No, not right over. She came over that evening.
No, she says, I went over and watched movies all day.
See? So this is, how can you not, he said, no, she came over that evening. No, I watched movies all day. Well, what? That's completely 2 different time periods.
Here's the secret of life, Howard. If you don't lie, you don't have to remember anything. Like it's not you don't have to keep these lies in track. Stop lying and it'll be a lot easier for you.
But here's the other thing. The lies are so compounded and they're both such full of shit artists with this story that who's lying? Is it Howard lying that she came over in the evening, or is it Beth lying in the article that she was there all day watching movies? Because we don't know. And then compound that even further into, did this even really happen?
Right.
So we have 3 things going on right now. Did any of this even really happen? What time of day? Is it Howard's story or is it her story? I mean,
who the fuck would invite someone over at 8 a.m. to watch movies all day? What the fuck are you talking about?
Listen, if you went out the night before and somebody calls your phone at 8 a.m., you're hitting ignore. Like there's no way.
100%.
You're
not going over to watch a movie. That's for sure.
Do you want to watch Private Parts for the 7th time?
And Beth likes to drink. There's no way her pores are sweating vodka, hungover, sleeping in a bed. And she thinks, hey, it's 8 a.m. I could make it to 10 o'clock mass and I can call Howard.
Yeah, completely.
In the afternoon she came over. Yeah, that's true. She can come over at 8 in the morning.
Okay. Jeez. And it just blossomed into the most amazing thing in my life.
Look at you.
Huh? That's not bad.
Look at you. You're doing all right.
Let me see.
I'm happy for you.
Bo's laughing. Just about laughing at Artie.
She's 29 here, right? She's 29?
Yep.
If you're 29 and you're saying that this new relationship, which is based on lingerie shows and modeling jobs and, dinner parties is the most amazing thing in your life, that just doesn't ring genuine to me.
Yeah. It's hard to keep maintaining your own bullshit.
Amazing thing in your life.
Well, look, man, Howard's so unaware, like he thinks it's going well, but now Artie's coming in. Look at you. Like, dude, this is such fucking bullshit. Like,
right.
Even Artie couldn't, censor himself for this.
Yeah.
Okay, Bob, but think of this. Beth doesn't have kids, right? But
right.
I was 25 when I had my daughter. So if I was 29 and I was saying something like this, I would be fully embarrassed. Like, you don't have this perspective on what's the most amazing thing in your life, especially when you have children, and you would say something like this. But Howard has children. Mm-hmm. Howard has 3 children and had a marriage. So why would he let her say something this ridiculous? And, high school, Dawson's Creek, fucking 90210, fanciful script.
Well, listen, if you picked your spouse out of a Saudi Arabian slave magazine, you'd want a different story for it, too. You got to come up with a story, so why not have Tinkerbell come down and the Disney castle will come out and the whole thing? Oh. Why not? You're writing it at this point.
Pincushion Weekly, Dubai.
How would that go over in FHM? My friend gave me a magazine. There was a list of women for sale. I picked this one out. I mean, that's not very fun to put out there. So...
he was also, remember during this time, he was like really good friends with Trump. And remember Trump gave that interview with Chauncey and on the phone, not an interview, but Chauncey recorded him. And he was saying, Chauncey, I didn't sleep with that girl. This is like before all of his political stuff.
Right. He said something like, she looks like a fucking hooker.
Yeah. But Trump did say, he picks out of a catalog of who he wants to date. So I'm thinking, you're not far off with this, because if that guy with the comb over can just, go in a book and a binder and pick who he likes, who's to say Stern doesn't do the same things? We don't have the same idea of what it's like to date when you're that wealthy and what's available to you. Like, we just don't know. We can imagine,
right.
But from that standpoint and what Trump said to Chauncey, if that's an indication, then I totally think you're on par with what possibly could have happened with Howard and Beth.
Well, there's
I'm
a lot
not kidding.
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities between those two guys anyway, in terms of narcissism. So, but we're not going to get into that for this particular episode just yet. However, I think, okay, we're good to go.
No, you're not.
Did you have a fixed perception of what Howard Stern would be like when you first met him? Absolutely, everybody does. I think I was afraid of him. I thought, Howard Stern, it's not my thing. I know the stigma attached to him, and that's not my type of person.
How do you know what type of... You said you don't listen.
Right.
You acted like you had this vague kind of notion about who this guy was in the beginning of the article, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone?
That's right.
Am I wrong here?
Well, yeah.
You're right.
You've never listened?
She's just saying, like, yeah, it's not my thing, like, huge piece of shit guy, but... Like, she knows that much about him. I think most people knew that much about him. Like, this guy's a weirdo, fucko, strange
But in the beginning, she made it a pronouncement, especially the way Robin said it, that she never listened to him. Never. Meaning none. Nil.
Yeah, but she also
nothing.
didn't know he
and
was
now
the producer
she's
of Son of the
changing
Beach.
it. But now she's changing it a little bit.
Well, my grandmother's never listened to Howard Stern, but she knows he's a dirtbag. You know, like, people knew that about him in general at this time. I mean, I get what you're saying. I'm not, like, trying to be super, combative. I'm just saying she probably knew enough about him that...
Oh, I agree with
piece
you.
Of shit. Most people knew that.
No, I agree with you. I'm saying, though, she's so dumb that she's going to say something in the beginning of the interview and then completely nullify her point by saying, oh, well, I knew this, and this about him. Wait a minute. I thought you never.
Well, then later on, she starts to add a little more, like a few more elements, like, oh, my brothers and my father were huge fans or something like that. Or I think my brothers were huge fans, at least that much. And so, you would, that implies that if you were at the house for any length of time, you would have heard it on the radio. And by osmosis, you're hearing, even if you're not really paying attention, you're still hearing him do the evaluators or, whack pack something coming in. So you do know a little about him.
Yeah, it'd be like, for example, you live with, my grandma was a huge fan of the soap All My Children. Now, I don't watch All My Children, but just because I spent so much time in her house, I had this peripheral knowledge about Erica Kane or like the characters. Like I know things that I don't care about just because it was always on when it came on and I was there. So I don't believe that when she said that, that's another indicator, you definitely have an idea.
Well, the whole thing is, if you say I didn't know anything about him, you're implying that my judgment was not clouded by I knew he had money and I knew this and I knew that he was a dirtbag. To me, he was just Prince Valiant. He was Prince Charming.
Knows.
He was, you know what I mean?
Fillmore knows. Yeah,
he was.
You're
was Prince
saying
Charming.
Like the illusion is like exactly what you're saying. Like, I knew enough about him to not know about him, to not know that he has money, but I do know he has money. But exactly. I agree.
Hilaria did the same thing. She said, I didn't own a TV. My parents were hippies. Your parents were a lawyer and a doctor.
Right.
You grew up in Boston. You never had a TV. You lived in a multi-million-dollar home in the Beacon Hills. Are you kidding me?
This goes back to your point at the start of the show. People who say they don't know, they know.
They know.
They're playing into this thing. Oh, I didn't know you had money. Again, the Tinkerbell story. I didn't know. Of course you knew.
Robin's voice, too, makes this reveal the print story so much more. Because you might passive read this when you're reading it, as a person who subscribes to the magazine or checks it out at the grocery store and picks it up, whatever. You might read this in print and scan it and not really take in what's being said. And then when you hear it come from Robin, even despite our analysis, you all of a sudden get this huge wave of this doesn't ring true.
Wow.
Wow.
What's the
Then
stigma?
5 minutes after meeting him, I knew what an amazing comedian and a brilliant actor he is.
He had to toss that one in when he was writing out these answers.
Oh my God. My eyes just turned into dinner plates. That was outrageous.
Sorry, I'm choking.
Amazing actor. And
Swallow the word comic, Fillmore. Gag on it like a giant sausage.
You know, he couldn't. The only thing he could be on stage is a mic stand at this point in time. He couldn't. He's got the stature of like he's got the stage presence of fucking dead sperm.
A comic?
Mm-hmm.
Did anybody see that roast we did that we covered?
I just rewatched some of that. It's even worse than I remember.
I can't watch that one again because it gives me. I get too skeeved out. The skivviati. It's like I can't do it.
You get douche chills.
Ugh.
Yeah, if we ever do the
actor. Where's an actor from?
Well, he's been acting straight for, well, not really, actually. I'm thinking that's a bit of a stretch right there.
But why, like, okay, comedian, because he has a comedy show, which everything's written for him, but why the fuck would she say actor? Where did that come from?
It sounds like,
actor.
You know what this interview sounds like a MySpace bio. Like it's like back in the day, like how you present yourself when you first got on social media and you didn't even really know what the fuck it was. And you just start,
crowbarring factoids in it.
Well, because they kind of they want you to do that on the social media sites. So you just start adding all these. God, even before social media, this is how you make yourself, you elevate your narcissism and what you think of yourself by these forms. And now everybody's a goddamn narcissist, pretty much.
It sounds to me like if she just said something like, you know what, I just had a Pop-Tart, which is fortified with 8 essential nutrients. Like, it sounds like that's part of the plug of the cell.
Dude,
you ate at Long John Silver's and you're getting a good fortified fish meal.
This is a fucking straight up narcissist resume. Like, okay, tell him I'm the perfect man. Tell him I'm a good actor. Oh, comedian. Let's get that in there too. I'm a comedian on top of that. Like, he wrote this shit. I'm telling you, he was reading this the night before moonwalking. Like, I'm gonna kill it tomorrow. People are gonna hear all this great shit.
Wait till they fucking hear this shit.
Yeah, wait till they hear this shit, man.
And how would she know he's a good actor if she never really knew of him? Like, what was he acting in? No, I'm saying, but like, what if you were to put her on a stand right now? How do you know he's a good actor? You previously said that you never saw him in anything. So how would you know? Does that mean you're a great actor right now when you're pretending to be straight and my boyfriend?
Yeah, basically.
Well, were they at dinner and he got up and he's like, hey, catch this bit real quick. I acted this on this. Like, how would you know that? How
you wouldn't know. Or
know that?
How would you know I'm a good comic if you've never heard me just peripherally now, apparently? So I've never done stand-up comedy except for if you ever checked out my Channel 9 show or the Fox pilot.
Right. It took her 5 minutes, she said. 5 minutes to figure it out. You could spend
5 minutes.
We've spent fucking 30 years with Howard and we still can't figure out how he's funny.
Exactly. Hey, when you're writing your own resume, master chef, comedian,
polyglot,
whatever you want.
Guys, I'm like the equivalent of Dan Rather.
That's right.
And Howard's the equivalent of Edgar Allan Schmo.
I'll razzle dazzle your ass.
A brilliant actor.
You've said to me I'm a brilliant actor.
Yeah, but I had seen you act.
She saw me acting.
Yeah.
I was acting like a horny guy.
The Y.
Oh, I played her my reel.
That's 5 minutes after she met you.
Well, what do you think I do? Once I reel someone in, I don't want to lose them.
He shows up at the door with an ascot and a robe.
There you go.
That's bringing back the Lila thing is just like it's going weaving in and out of this thing. I show her my reel. And then he said, she had to see Son of the Beach. Lila had to see this. I showed Beth, and then Beth nailed him. I don't know if we played part 2.
We did.
You didn't hear part 2, did you?
No, I heard it was in part 1 where she said, "Can I tell? Can I tell?" And he did the same thing with Lila, our Siri. He said. Beth goes, he ordered a Nobu, it was fancy, and then he played at Son of the Beach.
Pasta asciutta. I don't say pasta asciutta, I say pasticcio. Pasta, that's what I say. He's a phony Italian, Paul. He's a phony Italian? Yeah. Why, you're Napolitano? I'm Napolitano. Sure. You don't understand the Sicilian. I'm Tovilla. No, non è Tovilla. Era una mano mangiata. Sì, ma ti ha mangiato tu. Una mano mangiata, ragazza. Ti ha mangiato. È stupado pesata che vado. Perché Peppe le pempe le po'.